Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the On Pattison podcast. I'm Mike Missinelli with our pal Anthony Sanfilippo. And just for the record, we'll put this out there right away. I'm coming off a knee surgery 2 days ago. Anthony just got off an airplane, so hopefully we're not too loopy to do the show today.
That's right.
In any event, good to see you. And you got your Orlando tan, do you?
Yeah, tan. The weather down there sucked, Mike. It was Yeah, it was pouring rain the first day. It was like cold and windy. It was like low 60s, upper 50s for 4 days.
That's no good. That's no good. That's not the Florida I signed up for. In any event, we have a lot to talk about with the Philadelphia Eagles, but let's start out with the newsy item right now, and that is the Kyle Schwarber signing. 5 years, $150 million for Kyle Schwarber. The Orioles had put that offer out first. He decided not to go with that Orioles. The Reds were in it at $125 million, and then the Pirates were in it with 4 years. But at the end, the Phillies get Schwarber back, and then they extended Rob Thomson through 2027. So we'll talk about that. We'll also get the scuttlebutt from the winter meetings with Anthony, who was there at the winter meeting. So you like this deal? You like the 5-year deal for Kyle Schwarber?
Yeah, I mean, look. I think it's certainly fine for at least the next 3 years. I'm pretty comfortable for 4 years. The 5th year, that's the one that I don't know what it's going to look like. But hey, I think what you're paying for, Mike, is more than just what he does on the field. This guy is the leader of this team. He is. If baseball had a captaincy, Kyle Schwarber would be the Phillies captain. And it's his clubhouse. Everybody respects him in there, and he keeps the tempo going. He's the heartbeat of that franchise. And so, like, I think you're willing to pay that 5th year because of that, because of all the intangibles he brings away from the field as well.
Okay, yeah, I can go with that. Listen, I didn't want him not to sign him, but I think 5 years, if we look at some numbers here, it's hard to predict how anybody's going to produce 33, 34, 35, 36, 37 especially. But over the last 4 years, there's only one man in baseball that's hit more home runs than the 187 that Schwarber has launched. And who would that be, Ann? Aaron Judge. Schwarber is tied for the second most with Ohtani. Pete Alonso is third at 158. So if Schwarber keeps on his pace, the 56 homers show that he put on last year, here's where you would stand on the all-time list of most home runs by a player in his first 5 seasons with the team. Schwarber, 243. Babe Ruth, 235. And Mark McGwire, 220. So, but let's look at the reality of it. When we got to discuss the reality of it. No active players hit 160 or more from age 33 on. So you have to look far back in time to find players who have hit that many from age 33. And that would be Carlos Beltran, Albert Pujols, Adrian Beltre, and Nelson Cruz. But I guess if there's anybody that can do it, it would be Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, and the thing about Schwarber, Mike, is, he's going to be chasing that 500 home run number. I mean, I think he's going to get it. And you know how it is sometimes when you're getting close to a major milestone and a milestone that could ultimately get you into the Hall of Fame. Because I think if he gets to 500, then he gets in.
Well, that's hard to believe when you think about it. Kyle Schwarber in the Hall of Fame. I
know it's fascinating to think, but
yeah,
every 500 home run hitter that was not linked to steroids is in the Hall of Fame. So it's a reality. It's a point where if he gets to it, it's almost a slam dunk that he gets in.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're chasing something like that, I think that you focus a little bit better, you prepare a little bit better, you want to reach that milestone. And obviously he wants to win a championship again. It's not all about the individual stuff, but I certainly think that that's something that's going to keep him motivated for a few more seasons.
Let's face it, the Phillies could not have not signed him, right? There's no way they could have not signed him.
From what I heard, Mike, no matter what the offer was, they were matching it.
Yeah.
And that was a Middleton thing more than it was.
You just can't lose a slugger. You can't, in this day and age, you can't afford to lose a slugger in your lineup. Now, they're going to have to put some guys in that lineup around them, obviously.
Right.
And they're going to have to complete that lineup a little better pop-wise. But, okay, I'm with you as well on that. Let's hear from Kyle and hear what he had to say about the signing $150 million. Here's Kyle Schwarber.
I want to just be a quote unquote one hit wonder, right? Like I want to play this game for a long time, and I want to continue to still be great, and I want to continue to help the Phillies try to win a World Series and multiple World Series throughout my time here. Resonating with an organization and resonating with a fan base is a huge part of, you know, why you do it, right? Like you want people, you want young kids, you want anyone to be at a game and at the end of the day say, you know, look up, and you want them to, you know, be wearing your jersey, or look at their mom and dad and say, hey, I want to be like you know, like Kyle, whatever it is. You know, those are things that you don't take lightly. And you know, in those moments too, right? The whole sign, and, you know, sign back with Philadelphia, right? Like those are awesome moments. Those are things that you don't forget. You know, I know the whole Constitution thing that went around Citizens Bank Ballpark. I have that. You know, I got that in my possession, and like those are things that you truly do respect about a fan base. You hope that as a player, at the end of the day, that you're going to leave your mark on an organization and a fan base. And I'm glad that I'm going to have 5 more years to continue to do that here in Philadelphia.
All right, there he is, the man himself. You can join the chat, by the way. We had some really good chatters already. Those $18 crab fries paid off, says Larry Frassetto.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
$18, yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, Mike. And, you know, Kyle said to us on that, I was on that call with him from Orlando, and he had said that John Middleton went, and John and his wife Lee went to Kyle's house and sat down with him at the end of the season and had a very long conversation about what Kyle Schwarber means to the organization and to the city. And Schwarber said, listen, I went out and talked to a number of teams. And he said, I heard their pitches and they were all great. He said, but just because the first one that I heard was John Middleton, I wasn't going to forget about it. He said some things in that meeting that I remembered and I never let go of. And that's why he wanted to come back. So I think if you're looking at why is Kyle Schwarber back, there's a lot of reasons, but you got to give credit to the owner. I mean, the owner putting the money out, and he went and personally spent time with the guy. I think that's part of it.
Well, that's interesting. Middleton went to his living room instead of just using the phone.
Yeah.
You know, he had done the same thing by phone, no?
Yeah, it's very old school, that John Middleton.
All right. Rob Thomson gets another year, 2027 through 2027. I like Rob Thomson as a manager. I know there's a lot of people that don't, but I like him. I think that the essence of a manager is somebody who keeps people confident in a clubhouse and lets them go out and do their job. I'm not a rah-rah type of manager guy, but Rob Thomson to sign through 2027. You got a thumbs up for that?
I do. I think, if I'm going to make a prediction here, I think this is the last extension for him. I think by his accounting, I think he's going to step away from the game after 2027. I don't think he's going to want to extend again. Even if he wins the next 2 World Series, I think he'll go out on top. I do like the extension. I think Rob is a very good manager. I think he's maybe abused by the fans a little bit because, you know, they think that he's making decisions or not making decisions that they would make. But I'll tell you, a lot of the in-game stuff is predetermined, right? A lot of that in-game stuff is coming down from the analytics department, and they have all their charts and everything else, and they're just going off of that. Every once in a while, there's a feel move made by the manager, but 95% of the time, it's the charts. What I like about Rob, and what I think that he does really well, is how he manages the club and how he deals with the personalities. You really get a sense for who he is. Like we had a real good chat in Orlando, talking about how he calls people or where he talks to people when he wants to have a one-on-one conversation. He says he doesn't call them into the office. He says he doesn't call them into the office because he gets other players kind of looking around the corner like, oh, what's that about? What's that about? He'll grab a guy out on the field during like fielding practice or batting practice.
That's a difference maker. That really is.
Difference maker.
I agree with that. That's a good way to do it. Well, let's hear about Rob. First of all, getting his contract extended. Then we'll peel back and get his comments on Kyle Schwarber. Here's Rob on the extension.
You know, it always comes back to, for me, are you having fun? Are you enjoying it? Are you getting in somebody's way? Are you getting in the way of winning? And I'm still enjoying it. I love the organization. This is the only place I want to go. I don't want to go anyplace else whenever I'm done. Because I love the people and I love the organization, from the owner to Dave to all our player development people. It's just a group of people that really come together and want to win baseball games and want to win a championship. And that's what I like.
He cleans up real good. Look at that. He had a nice little hairstyle there, didn't he?
Yeah, you should have seen him the next day when he was there in his like a pseudo like Hawaiian shirt at the. Yeah, it was Rob. Rob was getting all snazzy, a little snazzy.
There you go. Look at that. The little pocket square in there, and the hair combed back. Very nice. All right, let's hear what he has to say about his main man, Kyle Schwarber.
I think just his work ethic. The body's gotten better over time. I mean, he's in the best shape of his life right now, and I don't think that's going to change. He's so intelligent. He sees the game a little bit different than a lot of other guys, and he works at it, watches a lot of film. I think there's a really good chance that he's going to maintain this level. I mean, this was an unbelievable year for him. So I don't think we can expect this every year, but I still think he's going to be a high-level performer.
All right. So, you were just at the winter meetings. What kind of scuttlebutt did you pick up regarding the Phillies or anything else, really?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess the other big names to talk about that are the free agents are JT Realmuto, Ranger Suarez, Harrison Bader, right? They were the three names that are left that the Phillies have not signed, and they're still free agents. I'm getting a sense that Realmuto will be back. I know he's kind of searching for a third year out there to see if a team will give him 3 years. I think ultimately he gets a 2-year deal, and if he takes a 2-year deal, he'll come back to the Phillies. If he gets offered a third year, Mike, from another team, I think that's where it gets kind of interesting. Will the Phillies go to a third year for a 35-year-old catcher? I don't know. I don't know if they will. And that's where it gets unique. But I know that they talked while they were down there. I know Dombrowski talked to his agents. I still think we're probably a week or so away from hearing on Realmuto. But I think that the Phillies are his preference, but he also wants to get a 3-year deal. So it's that's kind of the first thing.
I don't know how the Phillies would pivot away from JT Realmuto. I don't know what the alternative would be. I said last year that the two guys they had to sign were Schwarber and Realmuto. So I still feel that way. The third year wouldn't bother me as much as the fact that there's no alternative.
Right. No, there isn't any. And that's the thing. Like, I mean, the best available catcher that's a free agent that's not JT Realmuto is a guy named Victor Caratini. Now, he'd be a great paisan, right? He'd fit in.
I don't think he's a paisan.
Oh, no?
No, I think he's like Venezuelan or something.
Is he really?
You got to check on that.
Oh, see that?
I don't think he's a paisan.
All right. Well, see that? I didn't even know that. That's how little I've studied Victor Caratini.
Yeah, in fact, let's get our producer Matt Miro on that. Victor Caratini. Is he paisan or not?
He sounds. Hey, listen, Mike. He sounds Italian. That's all that matters.
He does.
You're right. He's Puerto Rican. How about that?
Yeah. So there you go.
Puerto Rican. I just looked it up.
Yeah. Sometimes you can, you lose sight of that. It's like Gabriella Sabatini, the old
Argentinian
tennis player, right?
Yeah. But you know what? There was a lot of Italians that settled in Argentina. Yes. So that's why that last name was there, right?
Correct.
Yeah, Caratini, kind of surprising. So yeah, no, it wouldn't. But that's really like the best available player. That's not JT Realmuto. That's a catcher.
You got to sign him. I mean, you have to sign him.
You have to sign.
If he's got him over a barrel for 3 years, so he's got him over a barrel.
Yeah.
We'll worry about that when Schwarber's 37 and Realmuto's 38.
Exactly.
And we'll be talking about how stupid it was for them to sign him for that long time.
Exactly.
All right.
And then Ranger, the other one I thought was interesting is Ranger Suarez. From what I talked to somebody in his camp, or that's really close to his camp, I should say, and he obviously wants to come back here. It's the only team he's ever played for. I don't see a fit. I don't see how it works financially for both sides, unless it gets to like late February late January, and they're getting ready to start training camp, and he still hasn't signed. Maybe his number comes down. I think that he's already talked to a few teams, but sounds like he wants to go somewhere that's not California, but is also not a big market. because he feels like he has a better chance to get a top of the rotation kind of responsibility. So if you're going to, and playing in either the NL Central or the AL Central. So I look at those 8 teams in there and say, I think Ranger Suarez ends up with one of those teams in the Central divisions.
All right. So there's no possible way that he's back as the Philly, right?
I wouldn't say 0, but it's not 0, but I would say it's pretty low. Probably like if I had to say, I'd say like a 15% chance he comes back.
All right. And Bader, what's the story with Harrison Bader?
He's another guy looking for a third year, Mike. And I think the Phillies are interested to an extent, but the Phillies are always an organization that says, and they say this all the time, look at the back of a guy's baseball card. Well, if you look at the back of Harrison Bader's baseball card, with the exception of this past year where he had great numbers, he's been a below average hitter for his entire career. So if you're going off the baseball card, you sit there and say you're more likely going to get the below average hitter than you are going to get the guy who had a career year in 2025. And so I think that there's a limit that the Phillies are willing to go to a Bader. He's looking for a third year. I think the Phillies would only go 2 at most. We'll see what happens.
Harrison Bader rubs me the wrong way for some reason.
Why is that?
I don't know. He's got, the colors that, the batting gloves and this, he's like a cocky guy, and he's got that short torso.
Throwback to he would have been on Macho Row, Mike.
he probably would have been, but his whole gig is like, the crab walk and all that stuff. I don't know. I'm not going to miss Harrison Bader. You're right. He's been a below average hitter for a really long time. All right, and let's get to the main focus of this town right now. And as you're struggling Philadelphia Eagles, they've lost 3 straight. They've lost 5 of their last 6. And they lose in overtime to the Chargers last Monday. And Jalen Hurts has been a disaster.
Yeah.
So, and to the point where I can't believe it, but people are discussing whether they want to use the backup Tanner McKee instead of Hurts for an upcoming game if he continues to slump, which I find hard to believe.
Well, yeah, I think it's a little bit excessive right now.
It's ludicrous, really, when you think about it.
I mean, it's 13 games since he was your Super Bowl MVP, and you want to bench him, right? But here's where I fall on it. I wouldn't bench Jalen Hurts at all. But what I would do, and what they haven't done, and we've talked about this a little bit on this show, Mike, is I would change the offense to be more toward the running game. And I know that the running game was struggling until last week when Saquon finally had a big game. But more than that, go back to what you talked about, the RPOs, right? Because when you do that, you create some confusion on the defense. Here's what I did. I did a story on Pattison from down in Orlando. And I looked at it. The last 15 times that Jalen Hurts has had to throw the ball 30 times in a game, the Eagles are 5-10. And he's thrown 13 interceptions. So obviously, the more you throw the ball, the more likely it is that you're going to throw an interception. But the offense really struggles when he's forced to throw the ball a lot. If you go with the RPOs and you keep the passes around, 22 to 24 per game, and we're asking for like 5 more runs. That's really all we're asking for. It changes how the offense flows. They're better at tempo. They're better when they run the ball, and they're controlling the clock, and they're not as good when he throws a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And he's looked so bad that it's funny because I was watching, what is that morning show, the ESPN show with Mike Greenberg? What is it called? I rarely watch it.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called now.
Hey, we should know what it's called.
Yes, I remember. I know what it is. I know it exists. I just forgot what it's
called.
Get Up. It's called Get Up. Right?
Oh, Get Up. That's right. Get Up.
Yeah.
That's my boy Hembo is the producer for that show. So yeah, it's called Get Up. I apologize for not having that. But I was listening to it today, and they had the question that was asked to Nick Sirianni about maybe is there a possibility you're going to bench him, and Dan Orlovsky says that's a ridiculous question. It's not a ridiculous question because the whole Eagles world is thinking the same thing. It's misguided thinking, but if you put your ear out to the fan base and they're thinking that, you got to ask the question no matter how it comes back, right?
Right. 100%. There's nothing wrong with the question. And you're right. It's crazy. You don't, the ramifications for the organization, if you benched Jalen Hurts with 5 games to go or 4 games to go in the regular season, the year after you won the Super Bowl and he was the Super Bowl MVP and his salary is what, close to $50 million? Like the ramifications from that are almost irreparable. And you might as well start all over. So you have to go with what you have. I mean, that's a conversation you have in the offseason. If you don't think that he's the right guy after the year's over, maybe you have that conversation, but not now, not in the middle of the season. You don't do it now. This guy just won you a Super Bowl, for God's sake.
Yeah, it's foolish to think that they would do something like that. But the question itself was not foolish. Meanwhile, the Eagles are plummeting in the power rankings, Ant.
Yeah.
You know where they are now?
I think 8th?
They're 12th.
12th?
12th. They have moved down to 12 in the power rankings. For people that are interested in this is the Athletics power rankings. So what you have is number 1, you have your Los Angeles Rams, 2 New England Patriots, and they have a big game this weekend. 3 Seattle Seahawks, 4 Denver Broncos, 5 Green Bay Packers, 6 Buffalo Bills, 7 San Francisco 49ers, which is interesting because right now the Eagles are in a match with the 49ers in the playoffs, and they're ranked 7th. Number 8 is the Detroit Lions, ahead of the Eagles. Hard to believe. The Houston Texans at 9 ahead of the Eagles. The Bears are ahead of the Eagles at 10, and I guess that would figure because they beat the Eagles. The Los Angeles Chargers, they beat the Eagles also. They're 11th, and your Philadelphia Eagles 12th. Your reaction?
I think it's a little low. I think it's a little bit low. But I understand it. Like, they have not looked good offensively since before the bye. So we're going back 7 weeks since the last time the offense looked good. So, yeah, I get it. But I still think the Eagles' defense is really, really good. And they're going to keep them in every game. Like, the Eagles aren't going to get blown out because of that.
There's
defense.
2 more losses on the schedule. I mean, excuse me. There were 2 before last week. There were 2 more losses on the schedule. The Chargers were 1, and they're not going to beat the Bills later, right?
Probably not. Yeah.
So that is, believe it or not, that's 11-6,
which is what I had them at the beginning of the season.
Yeah. Guess what the Vegas number was?
11 and a half.
And I thought that was I thought the Eagles were much better than 11.5, but that was a line that told me something. So I bet the under, actually.
Yeah.
On that.
Good for you. Good for you.
There you go.
Well, it's smart. It was a tough schedule, right? I mean, it was smart. I mean, who knew that the Commanders were going to, fall off as badly as they did? The injury to Jaden Daniels. You kind of thought that maybe one of those 2 games at the end of the year was probably going to be a loss. Look, Mike, they can fix this here against these bad teams that are left. Yeah, they should blow out the Raiders. They should win both games against Washington.
11.5 point favorite, by the way, against the Raiders.
That's a little high, but I still think that they're going to cover it. I still think
the Raiders are just dreadful.
Yeah, they are. They are dreadful. Look, they need to. I don't necessarily know that they have the right people in place to fix the offense, and I don't mean players. I mean the people running the show.
Oh, so you're not wowed by Sirianni's more involvement situation?
Wait, how did it look? Did it look better to you, Mike?
The running game going.
Oh, okay. They ran the ball against a team that can't stop the run. That's good. Okay. Good job.
All right.
Good job.
Let's hear from Nick on his offensive involvement. This is cut number 1, Matt. Nick Sirianni.
I'm the head coach, so my attention goes to places that I feel like it needs to go. This week was with the offense, and I'll continue to go in there with those guys and, grind it out through the weeds with them and continue to move forward with that. I thought we moved the ball and did a lot of good things today, but, again, we didn't finish drives, and when we didn't for multiple reasons, and had some turnovers for multiple reasons. So, you always look to improve the process, and we'll get back to work and grind out through it again. And I anticipate being in there still.
Again, he says nothing but we have to expect that the coach is not going to say anything. But he was asked about coaching Jalen after a performance he had on Monday night. 5 turnovers, 4 interceptions, and lost a fumble on a crazy play. But here's what he had to say on coaching Jalen Hurts after a performance like this.
Know each other well enough that, we're always just doing everything we can do to get better. Won't get too much into that. But, always, like I said earlier, you always praise the things that they do well, and you correct the things that you want them to improve. That's our job as coaches. The tone or the energy or whatever you do, I won't get too much into that, but, everybody, you may not coach everything exactly the same as far as demeanor or, so there's a time to yell, there's a time to bring up, but it's always goes back to, I think there's an art to this. It always goes back to the standard. Did you meet the standard? Did you not meet the standard? And then there's an art to, how you correct it in the sense of that, but it's always goes back to the standard. Did you meet it? Great. Did you not? And you're going to praise that. And did you not? Then you correct.
All right, there you go. So, this would not be a show without Jalen Hurts. The velvet fog and his words of wisdom after a game. I gotta play Jalen after every game, no matter what he says.
The main thing again, Mike. I'm just curious.
The main thing. Just count how many parables he has in this masterstroke. Responding after a loss. Here's Jalen Hurts.
All encompassing. It's that way when we have success, and it's that way when we have these tough times. But at the end of the day, it's all about how you respond to it. So it definitely stings. Definitely stings. But how do you respond? And that's the only way I know how to look at it. And again, you're gonna see what type of resolve does this team have? What type of resolve do we have within? What's in us to respond the way we want to? So we just got to dig.
Okay, so resolve. If they beat the Raiders by 2 touchdowns, is that the resolve?
No.
Like
No, Mike, here's the thing. Like I said, they're going to win at least 3 of these next 4. I mean, you never know what Buffalo's situation is the next to last game of the season. That could mean next to nothing to the Bills. So who knows? We're not going to know where the Eagles really are until they play whoever they play in the first round of the playoffs. True. And that's going to be the dictator of everything. And so, like I look at it, Mike, and I say, if they can get into the playoffs, win a playoff game, you start to feel a little bit differently about the team again, right? And maybe they start feeling a little bit differently about themselves. They don't need to have like the freaking positivity rabbit in the locker room again, right? Like they don't need that.
What's the first thing you thought about with the positivity rabbit? What is the first thing that came to your mind?
It was cringe. It was 2023.
Cringe, but what else did you think about? Because this immediately came to mind.
Was this I don't know.
Brad Miller bamboo plant?
Oh, the bamboo, yeah. The bamboo plant from Brad Miller.
Was it Brad Miller? No,
it was Brad Miller. He hit 3 home runs.
Yeah. The bamboo plant. The good luck bamboo plant. All right, Ian. So what I do during Eagles games is I always go over the play-by-play and take my little notes here. So indulge me, and we'll go over some of the highlights of what happened in this game. First of all, it was 10-6 at halftime. A half that featured the wacky 3 turnover play.
First time in history that one person committed 2 turnovers on the same play.
So in the second half with 10-6, opening drive was pretty good by LA, long drive, but it resulted in a Cam Dickers field goal of 34 yards. He had kicked the 36-yarder, but there was a penalty on Ojomo for a leverage penalty. So he got the 34-yarder. So I thought that was a victory for the Eagles. That was a long drive, and they only got a field goal out of it. So it's 13-6 at that point. The next drive, the Eagles get a 54-yard field goal from Elliott. Covey had recovered his own fumble in the kickoff, if you recall that. So now it's 13-9. First play of the fourth quarter is the toss to Barkley on the fake tush push formation, 52 yards, 16-13. Now it's 16-13. Were you feeling pretty good about it?
No.
You were not.
No, because I felt like the Chargers could at least get into field goal range for Dicker. I mean, he's really accurate kicker. Like, I didn't think that, they weren't going to try and score a touchdown. I knew there was enough time for them. So I was like, okay, look, it was nice to get the big play. And it was actually a pretty good call. I give them credit for that in that spot, because the Chargers are selling out for the tush push. So good call by the coaching staff there. But at the same time, I'm sitting there there's still too much time, and they don't need to go that far to get this guy.
So as a result of that, on the heels of what you're just talking about, the next possession, Hurts gets intercepted trying to go long to AJ, and that resulted in a 31-yard field goal by Dicker to tie it at 16. The Eagles go ahead with 2:16 left. Were you feeling good on the field goal by Elliott with 2:16 left?
No, that's the one I was talking about. Yeah, that's when I was talking. Maybe 16-13, there was still a lot of quarter left.
Yeah.
19-16, I was still a little – again, I didn't think the Chargers needed to go that far. Yeah, I was not confident at that point.
Now, AJ had a touchdown on the play, and he got it knocked out of his hands there.
Everybody's killing him on that, Mike.
Yeah, that was the guy. He got knocked out by Hurts.
The cornerback and whoever it was made a really nice play to pull on his arm just as the ball hit his hands.
It's a good defensive play.
It's a good defensive play.
Yeah, but you know what's really funny about AJ? A friend of mine texted me and he goes, "Have you noticed that since they made a concerted effort to get AJ more involved, the Eagles are losers?"
Yes, this is true.
Right?
This is true. They have not won since they made a concerted effort to throw him the damn ball.
Concerted effort for AJ, they lose 3 straight. All right, so now the Chargers go 11 plays on their final possession. They get a 46-yard field goal from Dicker with 8 seconds left. Herbert had 2 really big runs on that drive.
Yes, he did.
And they get it tied at 19.
And can I point out something on that, Mike?
Yes,
you know who they took advantage of? Jalen Phillips was not containing on his side on that play. He was crashing down too far, and they saw that he was doing that a lot, and they took advantage of it on a couple of those runs by Herbert, and especially he did it again on the first play of overtime as well. Same play again. That's something that Jalen Phillips needs to clean up.
Gotcha. All right, so now we're in overtime. The Chargers get a field goal to go up. 54-yarder by this guy. This guy's money. 22-19. And there you go. The Eagles are driving. I thought they were going to score. The play I thought was there originally to Dotson in the slot, and Cam Hart came over and gave it a little tip, and Tony Jefferson intercepts it. Game over.
Yeah. And the play was that play was there. It was kind of an unfortunate turnover there. Look, I know he threw 4 interceptions. I really only put 2 of them on Hurts. One, A.J. Brown's got to catch. It goes right through his hand, right? All right, and then that one is a great play by both the cornerback and the safety to win the game. So, but yeah, that's frustrating, man. It just keeps happening over and over again that anything that can go wrong will for this offense at this point.
All right, let's take our first break of the show. We got a lot more to talk about, including Carter Hart returning to Philadelphia tonight, but I don't think he's going to play. The Sixers. With losing to the Lakers on Sunday, where LeBron James took over the game. I mean, listen, this is an age-old argument, the Jordan-LeBron thing. But I want to get into that on the other side, and also college football. The college football was rocked yesterday. Sharon Moore gets fired for an inappropriate relationship, and then gets arrested for assault right afterwards. And then there's this coaching carousel that's going around on who takes that Michigan job. Some very interesting candidates were mentioned. We'll talk about that after our first break. We're back after this on Pattison Podcast with Mike Missinelli and Anthony Sanfilippo.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's.
All righty, we're back. We got a little technical difficulties there. I hear some stuff blending in the background there, Ant.
Yeah, I heard it
You
too.
hear it?
Yeah, I heard it too.
Yeah, something's going on in the background there.
I think one of the maybe the mics came up a little bit too soon. I don't know.
What is that we're hearing now? We're hearing commentary about something.
Oh, I'm not hearing that.
Oh, you're not?
No.
Oh, I am.
No, it could be something on your computer. Could be something
I'm
on your
hearing commentary. Oh, is that me?
Could
Okay.
be something playing on your computer.
Yeah, you're right. It is me. That's my bad. All right. So, so the other night, the Sixers, LeBron James, 29 points, made some killer 3-pointers. Now, I sit there and just marvel at the dude. And he came down the lane and had a jam yesterday in the highlights. I mean, it's just phenomenal what he's doing. I always thought that nobody could top Michael Jordan. So I got to ask you just a quick question because this is an age-old argument. The longevity of LeBron, is it blurring the lines on who is the better player now?
No, because I thought Jordan played in a much tougher era of basketball. I really do. And that's not trying to take anything away from LeBron because LeBron he's right there. He's probably, in my mind, top 3 or 4 in all time. But I think that
top 3 or 4.
Well, I mean, again, you got to look at other.
Who's your top? Give me your top 5.
I think you got to go Jordan 1. How do you not count Wilt Chamberlain? Right.
Well, centers are. What I do is I have a separate list for centers.
Okay. Well, if you're not,
Centers,
so we're not counting centers.
No, we're not counting centers.
Yeah. All right. So then, if we're not counting centers, I got to take a couple people off. I probably still put. I like Kobe. I like Kobe, and then I would probably put LeBron right behind Kobe.
Yeah.
there.
See, I got Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, Magic, Bird.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think 4 and 5 are spot on. Yeah, I don't know. I just think Kobe was more of a stone cold killer than LeBron has been.
See, I disagree with that. I think we tend not to notice the killer moments that LeBron James has had in his career because we don't like him in general.
Oh, I'm agnostic to LeBron. I don't hate LeBron. I just don't like the era of basketball that we're in today. I just don't like it. And that's maybe because I'm getting old, right?
Yeah, you're getting old. I think the game is as athletic and as quick as it ever has been.
Yeah, but it's you can't play defense like you used to be able to play defense. It's all 3-point shooting.
Maybe, but still, like the ball moving around to get 3-point shots to me is good basketball. Getting into an open shooter for 3 is good basketball for me.
Yeah, I just wish that there was. I just wish there was more. And like
an old fuddy duddy, with this.
August drums 1247. No motion, no misdirection.
Oh, August is talking
I hope he's talking about basketball.
Yeah, he's not. He's talking about the Eagles, evidently. All right, so let's move on to the Flyers. Now, this is really an interesting development here.
Yeah,
Carter Hart back in the league. I mean, that was kind of kept pretty quiet, wasn't it? That he got back in the league. He's played 3 games, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big deal, more of a big deal in September when the league announced that they were going to let these players play again. and the idea was that they were allowed to sign on October 1st, but not play until December 1st. So he signed pretty quick with Vegas, but then it was kind of like 2 months of you didn't hear much about it, and then all of a sudden there he is. He's in the league, and he's played a few games for the Golden Knights. They come into town, and you would think that he would be the guy that the Golden Knights play against his former team against the Flyers. Not in the lineup. That's problem number one in my mind, Mike.
Well, he had played 2 games in a row.
I get it, but they planned the goaltending rotation out well in advance. They could have set it up so that he played tonight very easily. The problem I have is the second part. So he's not playing tonight. As such, the rules for starting goalie is that if he's starting that night, you can't talk to him beforehand. You can only talk to him after the game. But the other guy, if he's not playing, it's fair game for the media. Except Vegas said that Carter Hart was not going to be made available to the media. So now this guy comes back to Philadelphia. Not only does he not play, but he doesn't speak.
All right, now you're looking at it from a media standpoint.
I'm looking at it from the fan perspective because
a fan perspective.
And I'll tell you why.
Okay. All right.
The Flyers wanted to bring him back after this. There was some fans may not have liked that, but the Flyers wanted to bring him back. He chose not to come back to Philadelphia. He chose to sign somewhere else. And so the questions more to me should be, hey, Carter, well, why didn't you want to come back to the Flyers? That's the answer that needs to be given that he's not giving. And we don't have an opportunity to get that answer.
Let me ask you this. If you are the Las Vegas Knights administration, don't you think that's the right move?
Well, listen, the Philadelphia media is going to be out in Vegas in January when they play out there. Are you going to not make him available again?
Maybe.
That's pathetic.
You have control over the situation. It's your team.
Well, guess what? We're all going to write about it and say it's pathetic. And we'll call them out for it. As soon as I'm done with you, Mike, on this show, that's what I'm writing.
Don't you think they know it's pathetic? But they're protecting their asset here.
I don't know. See, people in Vegas don't care. It's not a real sports market, right? So they don't care. But people here care. So you gotta call a spade a spade. It's bad luck by both. If Carter Hart wanted to talk, they would let him talk. I don't think he wants to talk either.
I'm sure he doesn't want to talk.
It's more on him.
He can only get trapped by the media if he talks.
Give us 5 minutes. We asked for 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
I don't need to talk about the whole trial and the.
Well, that's what people are going to ask.
I don't care. That I don't care about. If people want to ask about it, I think it's a stupid thing to ask about at this point. What's the point? Like,
he had a trial. It's a stupid thing to ask about. It's a major issue that's out there.
Yeah, but it happened, and there was a trial, and he got exonerated.
Okay, well, I'm going to hear his views on him getting exonerated.
Yeah, he's already done that though to the media. He had that interview out in Vegas, right? So we've seen it. It would just be beating a dead horse for us to ask it, to say we asked it. To me, it's more about why you didn't want to be. You're allowed to come back. Why did you not want to play in Philadelphia? And maybe the two tie together, Mike. Maybe his response is because of what I went through. I just felt that it wouldn't have been good for my mental health to do it in this market because it's such a big market and there's so much media scrutiny. That's a great answer if he gives that, but we will never know because he's not saying anything.
All right. You have very strong feelings about this. So tell me about your feeling for the Flyers right now and what Rick Tocchet is doing.
Well, my favorite thing about Rick Tocchet is kind of going, he doesn't care, man. I like the fact that there's some narratives that are out there, whether they're fan driven, whether they're media driven, about the team, about how he uses players. And he just comes flat out and calls BS on it. And he comes right out and says it. And like, it's not, I don't pay attention. If he said I would lose my mind if I paid attention to what the fans say or what the media says all the time. And he's right. He's absolutely right. We can all have opinions. I'm not saying nobody can have an opinion. We should all have an opinion. But you can't expect the coach to sit there and be crack under the pressure of that opinion. He's got a job to do, and he's going to do it the way he wants to do it. And that's all that there is to it.
All right. The Flyers are still in a pretty decent position right now as we speak.
Yeah. still in a playoff spot, couple games in hand on some teams in front of them. They've played the fewest games in the division, I think maybe even the conference. But the schedule starts getting tough here. The next 3 games, you got Vegas, who's a good team tonight, and then you got home and home with Carolina this weekend. They're a really good team. How they come out of these 3 games will be a big indicator of if they can make a push beyond that. Because I think that. Thanks, Matt. Thanks
you
for the
use that
horn.
hockey horn. It's mandatory in every show
Yeah.
that we do, the hockey horn.
Yeah. But no, I think that this weekend is a big weekend for them.
Sixers, by the way, are off until Friday versus the Pacers, a team they should handle. So in case you're still interested in your Philadelphia 76ers.
I told
you have completely not paid attention to them this week.
For a week, because I was so tied up with the Phillies with the winter meetings, and I had to keep track of the Flyers, what was going on for them. I completely zoned out on the Sixers.
You're a very busy man. A man that covers 2 sports for on Pattison, Phillies and Flyers.
Yeah,
that's tough to do, man.
It is tough to do.
All right, take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk college football. Can Penn State actually lose their head coach? Because that's what people are saying. The coach that they just introduced as their head guy, a better job has maybe opened up. Let's talk about it after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Warm up this fall with an incredible seafood boil. Try the Uncle George with succulent snow crabs, tasty mussels, and shrimp. There's the Pete's Feast with 2 pounds of sweet succulent crab legs, a dozen shrimp, clams, and a pound of mussels. Or create your own boil. Add a lobster tail or a delicious Dungeness cluster. Include smoked sausage, corn, and potatoes, served in our tasty broth, made with white wine and our signature seasonings. A shellfish lover's dream at Chickies and Pete's.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs. A flawless occasion begins at the Capitol Grill. From the moment you step into the Capitol Grill, located in the heart of Center City, the experience is one of comfortable elegance. Whether you're looking to host a private affair, a perfect lunch stop, or dinner destination, start your occasion at the Capitol Grill today. Visit thecapitolgrill.com or call 215-545-9588. That's 215-545-9588 for the Capitol Grill, Center City.
Oh, that music. That music is kicking. It's very dramatic. Speaking of drama, we had a couple of Hall of Fame selections in the last couple of days. First of all, let's talk about Joe Buck getting the Media Hall of Fame one. Now, this is something that Jason Stark was inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Frick Award. So Joe Buck gets it, and you're wondering how Philadelphia fans feel about that because they hate Joe.
They do. Philadelphia fans hate Joe Buck, and I think Joe Buck is a really good announcer. I'm in the minority, Mike. I don't know about you.
I like him too. I don't have any problem with him.
Yeah, I think he's really good. I know Philadelphia fans think that he's biased against Philadelphia, and he has some fun with that. Like in recent years, he's kind of played off that a little bit and talked about it in interviews and the like. But I think he's a sensational announcer, and I think it's a very deserving award.
He should be a Hall of Famer. Well, if you're going to put him in, you got to put a lot of announcers in, don't you?
I think I was a little surprised that he got it because he's still youngish, as opposed to some other announcers. But that's great. That means you're going to have a Hall of Fame broadcaster you're going to be able to listen to for about another 20 years.
All right. Okay, let's get into this college football scenario here. First of all, let me give you the playoffs. These are the playoffs now that have been settled. The 12th seed is James Madison, and the 5 seed is Oregon. There you see that at the bottom of your screen there. The winner gets Texas Tech. Number 9, Alabama. 8, Oklahoma. The winner gets number 1 seed Indiana. 11, Tulane versus 6, Ole Miss. The winner gets Georgia. And Miami 10, they get Texas A&M, and the winner gets Ohio State. Notice that there is no Notre Dame in this particular situation. And to cut off your nose to spite your face, Notre Dame has elected not to play in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Your thoughts on that, first of all?
You know what, Notre Dame? I hate the fact, and I've never been a Notre Dame fan, so let me just say that up front so I get the caveat out that I don't root for Notre Dame. I don't like Notre Dame. But
there are a lot of people that feel the same way you do, but that's only to defeat the rabid support of Notre Dame.
Well, that's true, and it's there is no middle ground with Notre Dame, right? You either love them or you hate them. There is no, you're not agnostic to Notre Dame. I think it's ridiculous that you don't take the bowl bid, that you just play, you play by my rules or we go home. I hate that attitude. And it made it even worse when I realized that they have a memorandum of understanding that going forward, that if they're ranked in the top 12, that they're automatically selected for the playoff, that they have a different set of rules than everyone else. Like it's that to me is beyond aggravating. And so I hope that some of these teams from the other conferences look at it and go, we're not going to schedule Notre Dame anymore. You want that? You want that to be the case? You go play all those small Division I schools or 1AA schools. Have fun and do your thing. Mike, Notre Dame hasn't done a thing. They haven't won anything for 37 years. Like, Notre Dame used to be great. They're not.
This is the NIL era, right? Do you know how much the Pop-Tarts Bowl pays?
I don't.
$6 million per team. They're giving up $6 million on principle.
Yeah, because it's Notre Dame.
Now, Steve Savino writes in, you don't like the Fighting Irish, Anthony? What kind of Italian are you? What does that have to do with Italian?
I think it's more I would be surprised if he said, what kind of Catholic are you, right? Like
what kind of Italian are you? Let me throw up my 2 cents in here, because it's always rankled me that if you are Irish at all, you have to be a Notre Dame fan. So in other words, if I said Western Wesleyan spaghetti makers, I should be a fan of their team because I'm Italian? Right?
I don't get it.
West Wesleyan spaghetti makers.
I never understood, and I said this to you before the show. It's like we're probably going to aggravate 80% of Northeast Philadelphia tonight, by saying what we're saying. But like, I don't get it. I don't get the whole notion of you have to be a Notre Dame fan because you're Irish.
If you're Irish, you get the little fighting leprechaun.
Little fighting leprechaun.
Fighting leprechaun. Now, people are going to say, Mike, you're a hypocrite because you said the PSU should not play in a bowl. I don't care. Notre Dame can elect not to play in a bowl. That doesn't really bother me at all. To each his own, but you're giving up $6 million. Penn State's season was so disastrous that Penn State, you know what bowl they're in?
I know they're playing Clemson.
The Bad Boy Mower Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium, where it's going to be freezing.
Yeah.
Right? And now, in that case, I would have refused the bowl. If I'm Penn State, I would have refused because you were preseason ranked to play in a national championship game, and it was such a disaster that you don't deserve to play in a bowl. Notre Dame got hosed. There's no question. Notre Dame probably should be in the playoffs before Alabama.
I don't know. Who did they beat this year? It's their best win. Southern Cal? Southern Cal finished what, 16th? They had one win against the top 25 team.
Alabama leaked in there. I don't think that they should have been in this year.
Okay, well, I would then say BYU belonged in instead. I think BYU had a better.
BYU got a house in their last game.
Yeah, so they had a better case, I think, than Notre Dame did.
All right, let's get into this coaching thing. All right, we talked earlier in the podcast about Sharon Moore getting fired at Michigan. Hours later, he gets arrested for assault. So he didn't take that very well, that firing. I don't know what happened. We don't have the details on the assault. But it opens up the big Michigan job. And I was listening to people talk about it today. The number one candidate to take the Michigan job is Kalen DeBoer, who is going to be coaching Alabama in 8 days. Now, is Michigan that much better a job than Alabama? And could he possibly take the Michigan job while he's getting ready to coach his team in a playoff game?
Well, Lane Kiffin just did it, didn't he?
He
Lane
did.
Kiffin
Yes, he did.
Just leave Mississippi, Ole Miss for to go to LSU.
Yep.
So yes, could Kalen DeBoer do it? Yes. What's more interesting to me is Kalen DeBoer showed no interest in the Penn State job last week, but now he might be interested in the Michigan job. So is Michigan that much better?
That's your way of sticking the knife in me.
Yeah, I'm just
saying. I was
saying.
thinking the whole same thing. Kalen DeBoer wasn't going to consider Penn State. He's going to consider Michigan.
Yeah.
So that's a stab in the heart for me as a Penn Stater. But interesting development.
Yeah.
They hired Matt Campbell, the head coach of Ohio State.
Who I like. I think it's a good hire.
It is a good hire. However, I heard some people talking to say if Matt Campbell gets offered the Michigan job, he should pivot and take the Michigan job and leave Penn State in a lurch. Your thoughts on that?
That would be fascinating.
Now, somebody did that locally, if you recall.
Yes, it was a Temple coach,
Manny Diaz.
Went to Miami instead, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. And hey, you know what? It could. I guess it could happen. I don't know. I'm sure somebody will try and get a hold of Matt Campbell and have him get a comment on that pretty quickly. Just kind of.
I don't know much about Matt Campbell. But apparently, he's got a good reputation as a head coach.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, and this is the rationale that they were talking about taking the Michigan job. You were like the fifth choice for Penn State, right? They went all over the world to hire a coach. They finally came out with Matt Campbell at the last second. So do you say, well, you know, what loyalty did I have to them? They passed me over 5 times anyway. Michigan job's a better job for me. It's in that Midwestern area where I just coached.
It'd be fascinating, Mike. It would be utterly fascinating. How would you, as a Penn State guy, how would you react if that happened? And what would Penn State do if that happened?
That's a really good question. What Penn State would do? I don't know Matt Campbell well enough to say it was a good hire or not, so I wouldn't be devastated if he did something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, he did a good job at Iowa State.
Yeah, he did. I don't know. Is he like a lightning rod name?
It's not a traditional powerhouse, and he turned them into.
See, Michigan's got to hit a big nut here.
Yeah,
they really do. They have to get a big time coach, and if it's Caleb DeBoer, they can make him an offer he can't refuse.
Right. Well, and if that's the case, then that's fine. You're going from Alabama to Michigan. Okay, fine. But yeah, you're right, man. That would be something. I didn't even think about that. I had not heard that, but wow.
Yeah, they're saying Matt Campbell would pivot and go to Michigan if he's offered the job.
That would be,
and then he'd hold a press conference at Penn State and say 2 words, never mind, and then walk off.
Yeah. I was at that Manny Diaz press conference at Temple.
Yeah.
I was there for the Associated Press to do that story. And, you know, it was all coach speak. And I remember writing the story, and then I think it was 5 days later, he took the job at Miami. It was like, what the hell just happened? Just talk to this guy about how he's going to turn Temple into a legitimate contender, and then he's gone. So,
all right, let's do some quick hitters here on the podcast where we just go all over the world and talk about things that have popped up. Can you explain to me why Phillip Rivers would decide to come back and play football in the NFL after being out of it for 5 years and is 44 years old?
And he's a grandfather.
Yeah, he's a grandfather.
I don't know. I don't get it.
How in the world could he possibly be nimble enough, athletic enough, or whatever enough to come back after 5 years at age 44? And if he gets thumped in a game, how's that going to feel to him?
I think that the Colts are trying to cling to the fact that they got off to such a great start, and it's such a wide open season in the NFL that like anybody can win this year. And I think that when they lose Daniel Jones, they don't want this opportunity to go away. And so this was the best option that was not
it is
out there.
See, this is what you need to explain to me. How is 44-year-old Phillip Rivers the best? Is there such a dearth in quarterback talent?
Yes.
That they're going to sign this guy from his Barco lounger?
Well, I mean, who are you going to bring in? Even if you go with somebody who's in your
Somebody's
organization.
practice squad has a quarterback. Would be better than Philip Rivers.
Well, that's my point, though. Like, would you rather have a guy who's at least been there and been in these situations?
No, I wouldn't. He hasn't played NFL football in 5 years. The speed of the game is going to be way beyond him. Come on, man.
If he wins a playoff game, Mike,
we remember him as a pretty good quarterback. You got to put it in perspective. He's 44. He hasn't played in 5 years. I find the thing ridiculous. It embarrasses the Colts, in my view.
Yeah. I mean, he's on their practice squad, so it's not like he's, on the roster. But I think would be.
But he may start this week. They're saying by the end of the week he may be the starter.
Could be.
Yes.
But I think it would be
Riley Leonard, Notre Dame, by the way. Riley Leonard could start, but it could also be Philip Rivers.
I think it would be absolutely hysterical, since he's on a practice squad, if the Houston Texans just claimed him off the practice squad so that he can't play in Indianapolis.
That's actually pretty good. That's a bad movie. That's a sly move.
Yeah.
So in other words, you fear Philip Rivers.
No,
so you have to claim him so he doesn't burn you.
You claim him just to embarrass the Colts, because then they don't have another option.
Come on, man. Stop it. All right. What else is next? Jeff Kent in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Now explain to me what committee voted him in. What is this committee?
The modern era committee. It's for any player who played after 1980. And there were it's a 16-member committee. Our friend Jason Stark is on that committee. It's mostly former players, but there are a few baseball writers involved. And you needed 12 of the 16 votes to get in.
And he got in. Do you agree with it?
I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I was there for his press conference.
Listen, Jeff Kent is a good player. He's a miserable guy.
Yeah.
But he was a good player. I don't think he's a Hall of Fame player.
I don't either. Although, Mike, I will say, you want to talk about a guy who really had his best years in his late 30s and late into his late 30s.
Yeah.
That's when Jeff Kent was at his best.
He's the all-time home run hitter as second baseman, right?
Correct. But you know what I think is the most interesting thing about this? I think Jeff Kent getting into the Hall of Fame pretty much makes Chase Utley a lock for the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
At this point.
Yeah. And I don't think Chase should be in, by the way.
Yeah, neither do I. But if you're going to put Jeff Kent in the Hall of Fame, then you should put Chase Utley in the Hall of Fame.
All right. Talk to me about this Olympic ice debacle. Now, did the Italians build the rink wrong or what?
So it's such a mess, Mike. I don't even have time to get into all the details of it. So Milan gets the Olympics in 2018. It was announced that they were going to have. So they have 8 years to prepare for this. Mm-hmm. For the first time 2.5 weeks ago, we had heard that the building may not be ready in time. The roof still wasn't on. The ice still wasn't done right. It's kind of a temporary ice setup. Like, they don't plan on keeping it as an ice rink there. So they're just bringing in the chillers for the ice underneath. And then they went and measured the ice. And they were going to make it an NHL size rink, not an Olympic size rink, because the NHL players are going to play in it. The size of the rink is wrong. It's 3.5 feet short. So instead of 200 feet, it's 196.5. It's a disaster. And the NHL has had to send their people over there to try and rectify the problem so that they can play hockey there in less than 2 months.
You ever play pickup basketball and the court is shorter?
Yeah.
And so you can only play 4-on-4 instead of 5-on-5. They have to change the rules to play 4-on-4.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Now, look, I think that the NHL.
So the Italians get the heat for this. The architects.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Italian architecture is supreme, Anthony.
It should be. Yeah. Historically, it should be. They screwed this up.
Who built this? Some toad named Frankie.
You know how Italians are. I got a guy.
Some gavone named Frankie built it.
Some gavone. That's great.
All right, let me move on to the holiday season here, Ant.
Yeah.
What is the problem with ordering online?
Ordering gifts online?
Gifts online. Ordering merchandise online.
I mean, I don't
do clothing.
Well, I mean, then you might have to return it, and
no.
You know.
No gift boxes.
Oh, well, that's true.
You order all this stuff, you don't have boxes to put it in.
Yeah, except if you're come from an Italian family, like my wife, she saves like boxes from years past and she reuses them for Christmas. So she orders everything off Amazon, and then she goes into the closet, pulls out the box that she saved from like 3 years ago, wraps it
That's
up.
what I
and
mean. You got saved boxes from last year?
That's what she does. It's crazy.
All right, here's the other thing. Have you ever purchased those candles that go in the window that are supposed to be like they're supposed to come on when it gets dark?
I've not, but I know which ones you're talking about.
You have not? They
I've
never
heard
work.
of them.
They never
Yeah.
work. I've never seen anything like it. You can. They're supposed to go on. In fact, I'm looking at a candle now. One's on, the other one's off. Look over here. One's on, the other one's off.
And is it supposed to be they're activated by the dark?
Yeah, it has a sensor. Anybody see? These are the things I obsess about.
We do.
You got anything else on your mind today?
We're very basic. We're very basic. I wanted to make fun of the Mets, Mike.
They lost their 3 best players.
Yeah.
Traded Nimmo, lose Diaz and Alonso.
Yeah. Now they traded Nimmo, so they at least got something in return. Although
They
I don't
got
know.
a second baseman.
I don't know. And he's not been good the last 2 years, Marcus Semien. He's not been good at all. They thought they were keeping Edwin Diaz. And Edwin Diaz felt spurned by them going out and signing another closer type in Devin Williams and said, all right, screw you. I'm going to the Dodgers. That hurt. And then Alonso goes to the Orioles. And they don't even get involved in that.
Well, at least he's not in the National League. They can live with that, right?
They are. And look, I get it. They had to do something because they missed the playoffs last year. But I think Juan Soto is probably having buyer's remorse right at this point.
You think the Mets are going to be a disaster next year?
I don't know if they're going to be a disaster, but how are they going to? If I had to ask right now, and I didn't even look it up, Mike, what do you think the odds are on who wins the division right now? I got to think the Phillies are the favorite to repeat as champions.
I agree.
And I got to think the Braves are past the Mets at this point.
I don't know about the Braves.
I'm just saying, if we looked at the odds, and I didn't look at the odds, if we looked at the odds, maybe somebody in the chat knows. That to me would be, in my mind, might be the order: Phillies, Braves, Mets.
Yeah. But by the way, since you were at the winter meetings, did you hear anything on Alec Boehm or Stott or any of that?
I still think Alec Boehm is going to. They're trying to trade him. Whether they get it done or not, I don't know. I thought it was interesting at one point we were talking to Dombrowski and he said, Boehm's going to have a bounce back season. He was hurt for part of last year. He thinks he's more of the player that he was in 24 than what he was in 25 when he was an all-star and drove in 97 runs or whatever it was. I don't buy it. I don't think Alec Boehm is that good. I think he's made himself a better fielding third baseman, but I don't see it. I think the Phillies don't see it either. And I think that would be a position that if they can make a change, they will.
I agree. By the way, Donnie Baseball is going to be the bench coach. How about that?
Yeah.
And,
I think that's interesting. Look, he's a former manager. He's a former manager. He's one manager of the year. He was a former player. But the guy that was there before, Mike Calitri, was not a major league player.
Right.
Not that Rob Thomson was either. But it's like, this gives him a little gravitas. Like he knows what these guys are going through, having been that guy at the major league level, and a former manager to boot. I mean, I know it's a little bit nepotistic in the sense that his son is the general manager.
Yeah, his kid Preston is general manager, which I was going to get to because I wanted to somehow squeeze a Preston Mattingly quote in here.
Okay,
and Preston was very glib on trading Nick Castellanos.
Yeah.
So Matt, before we get out of here, let's hear the obligatory Preston Mattingly quote.
He's coming.
Where is he?
No, Matt just sat back down. I can see. I can see him on my side.
Preston Mattingly on Nick Castellanos changes scenery. Well,
here it is.
We got it. Okay.
Even Nick spoke. I think via text and even on the phone as well. And I think we've looked at getting Nick a change of scenery, and just good for both sides. I think it helped Nick out and then help the organization as well.
And so the challenge is trying to find the fit with the money where somebody else is willing to take it and you can take something back. I mean, unfortunately, I had a lot of deals that I had to make where I had to sort of move money around and pieces around with that. It's not the easiest thing to do, right? You got to find really the right fit with somebody to either bring a pitcher back and return that could fit in your pen or your rotation or the back end, or a couple players where the money fits. It's a challenge to do that. Timing-wise, do you see that happening once the dust settles, or is it something that can happen more rapidly?
Yeah, I'm not sure there. I think, you never know when conversations could come up and something makes sense for both sides, but we're actively having conversations, and, I think when it happens, kind of when it happens, as you know.
All right, so that was Steve Phillips, who every now and then has to remind people that he was a general manager in baseball.
You have a lot of that in baseball media. Jim Bouton's the same way, right?
Yeah,
Jim
Jim
Bowden.
Yeah,
not Jim Bouton. Jim Bowden. So that's you have a lot of that. They want to remind you that they did the job. Ruben Amaro, he does that a lot too.
He does.
Yeah, he reminds you that he had that job.
He reminds. What do you think of Ruben as an analyst?
I don't hate Ruben as an analyst. I think he offers a lot. I think the problem with Ruben is he's got to learn the catchphrases. He has some crutch phrases, as I like to call them, things that he says repeatedly.
Yes,
because he doesn't know what to say something else.
Here's the number one. He didn't miss it.
Didn't miss it. Do damage. Do damage is another one he says.
Damage.
Yeah.
He got a cookie and he didn't miss it.
Yeah. So
we take obligatory shots at Ruben.
No, it's not a shot at him.
It's all in good fun.
Yeah, I think that Ruben does, when he's talking about things that he has experience with, I think he's educational in a sense for the fan who is listening to him in the broadcast. I just think he sometimes is repetitive.
By the way, E.G. Butler checked in about Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
He might not be wrong. He needs the cash.
He's got 20 kids? How many kids does he have?
He's at least got 10. I mean, seriously?
Yeah.
Keep it in the holster, big boy. All right, Ann. I think we've reached the end of this fiasco.
Yeah, I got to go down to a hockey game now too.
That's right. Go cover your Flyers tonight.
My day's not long enough.
Tell Carter Hart we said hello. Thanks everybody for listening and watching, and thanks everybody for the chat. We appreciate it. It is the On Pattison podcast with Mike Missinelli and Anthony Sanfilippo, and we'll see you next Thursday. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.